Get your preparations done, America. We are heading down a very rough road. It's Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Maybe I'm a little naive myself. Maybe I had a bit of hope that the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell would take some sort of action, maybe cared about the U.S. economy, maybe cared about the average American, but it is clear as day, and we're watching this right now as markets just closed, that they don't care. They don't care about the U.S. economy. They don't care about you. They care about Wall Street, the stock market, and the 1%. And it is absolutely shocking, really, watching these markets today. Laughable and disgusting at the same time. Dow Jones closing up over 500 points today. Markets up because they loved that Jerome Powell gave them another shot, another injection of the drug. And it's laughable, really, when we look at Jerome Powell up there today, trying to justify this 25 basis point hike and that it's going to somehow fight inflation, which all of you know it's a joke. It's not going to happen. It's absolutely impossible. And I want to talk a little bit today and recap a little bit on what just transpired with the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, these markets, what's happening internationally. It looks to me like the Fed has chosen to wreck the U.S. economy while it chooses to save the stock market, which also is going to collapse, which also is going to be wrecked at some point. So enjoy the ride if you're in these markets, because they're going to meet the same demise as the U.S. economy. As we said earlier, these markets today got another injection from the Fed. Wow. The U.S., the average U.S. consumer got screwed. I went back and just read a little bit about Paul Volcker today. We need another Paul Volcker as Fed chairman. This is the only way America can be saved at this point. He had to put the country through a very, very painful, tough time. He had to cut Wall Street off their addiction of all the free money that the Fed was pumping into them. You know, at some point you got to cut the addiction and feel the pain. And this chairman is not doing that. In fact, he is continuing to inject more medication into the addict, which is Wall Street and the stock market, instead of cutting the addict off. And you know, eventually the addict overdoses, ladies and gentlemen. The addict dies from the medicine. And that's exactly what we're going to watch take place here. And Dow Jones up over 500 points today. The addict is high as a kite, happy, euphoric. But at some point, the addict is going to get too much medicine and die. A couple notes today from what just transpired with the Fed. Fed signals 6 to 7 rate hikes. They see a 1.9% rate by the end of the year. This is absolutely nothing. It's a joke. We're at 8% inflation right now, and we're going to be at 1.9% interest rates by the end of the year. Inflation could be 10%, and we know real inflation right now is 17, 18 plus percent. So what if we go to 9, 10%? That would be real inflation of probably 22, 25%. What is a 1.9% interest rate going to do? There's problems, ladies and gentlemen, and one of them is the 10-year. The 10-year, which right now is about 2.1, 2.2%, the 10-year hits 2.5%, starts breaking over 2.5%. We're going to begin to see things break apart. Just look at all the new home builders today. Look at new home builders today. All of them down. Look at the 30-year fixed mortgage rate right now. Rates are going up. We are watching housing slow down. We're going to continue to watch it slow down as more inventory hits the market. And remember, we have a lot of people right now delinquent on their mortgages, and we're going to see a lot of homes being foreclosed or people defaulting, short selling, and that means more inventory, prices coming down as it's going to cost more to borrow money, and at the same time, more inventory coming. We have another problem. If Russia defaults on its debts, we're going to see a serious ripple effect right here in America and across the globe. A couple things that the Fed chair pointed out today. Economy, he said, is very strong. If it's so strong, why did we raise the interest rate 25 basis points? Why didn't we raise it 50 basis points? Why didn't we raise it 75 basis points if it's so strong? Unemployment is declining. Well, this sounds like great news. Expect inflation to return to 2%, Mr. Powell said. Will announce balance sheet reduction at next meeting. What are we waiting for, Mr. Powell? Why are we not reducing the balance sheet today? Why are we not raising rates at a real level right now to at least put some sort of dent in this inflation that is absolutely destroying people's savings, eating up their wages? He said nobody knows where the economy will be next year. I think we all know. Most of you, I would say 90% of you know where this economy is going to be next year. It's going to be in the toilet. And he said this, and this is why I've lost all hope, didn't really have much hope or faith in the Fed or Jerome Powell at all, but some hope that maybe he would do the right thing. But it's apparent, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our own. He said recession, not a probability in the next year. How in the world could he say this to the American people? How could he not know what's going on? He knows what's happening. We're in a recession right now. We are really sinking into a depression right now, and we are being lied to. And people are taking this data, and what are they doing? They're jumping right back into the stock market today, believing everything's going to be okay because the Fed is so dovish, and they're going to continue to support the stock market, going to continue to inject the medication into these markets, and they're doing so much damage. It's irreversible. There is no going back, ladies and gentlemen. This is really, I mean, it's disturbing to see what just transpired today. Inflation expected to decline second half of the year. Do you believe any of this? He repeated numerous times that the economy is strong. He, ladies and gentlemen, is not concerned about this inflation. You better be concerned about this inflation. You better be protecting yourselves. Just really repulsive with what I just watched transpire today. The average American has no idea what is about to happen. But again, very dovish and supportive of the stock market. It's all about the stock market. He's not looking out for Americans. He is ignoring inflation, and he is ignoring you. This thing, ladies and gentlemen, is going to crash and burn. And who's really at risk here is the middle class and the poor. U.S. will spend $800 million in military and humanitarian aid, which will be approved this week. The president also promised to do more in the days and weeks ahead. I ask all of you, look, first off, I'm not going to get political here. You can decipher the information you get any way you want, but I have to ask all of you, where is this money coming from? I'm paying over $6 for a gallon of gas. I'm going to the grocery store. I watched one of these grocery store CEOs today on one of the business channels. And he said, look, in the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to see food prices go up 12 to 20%. Let me repeat that. 12 to 20% food price increases over the next 30 to 60 days. I don't know where this money's coming from. Well, I guess I do. It's coming from you and I. It's coming from more money printing. And guess what? That guarantees we're going to see more inflation. Again, not getting political here. I'm not going to sit here and take a side on any of this. But I have to ask, who and how is this going to be paid for? And what effect does it have on the average American? Comment down below. The hedge today, record amounts of illegal meat from China seized at Los Angeles ports. As we're watching the restaurant and food industry being annihilated, decimated, you better know where you're shopping and where you're eating, ladies and gentlemen, because I think we're going to see a lot more of this as businesses, food chains, whatever, are going to find some way to cut cost, very possibly importing food from places like China. Between October and December of 2021, agents seized 262,000 pounds of prohibited pork, chicken, beef, and duck products. That's a 33% increase from the year before. We know that there are lots of diseases in these meats coming from these type of places. And what I'm worried about is there are going to be restaurants, maybe food chains, maybe distributors who go, hey, we can't get it here, or we can't afford it, so maybe we'll outsource it from other countries. And they'll just ignore the potential risk. So, be very careful where you shop and where you're eating at. Wolfstreet.com, diesel spikes to $5.25 a gallon, gasoline to $4.32 in historic leaps. The Fed did nothing to help any of us today. Expect to be paying more at the pump. It's going to take more dollars to buy anything. And is it really the price going up, or is it just the dollar going down? It seems that it's taking more dollars to buy anything. The dollar might be up today, but the dollar is being crushed. The dollar is buying less and less. Think about that. The dollar has lost 97% of its value. So of course, it's going to take more dollars to go and buy a gallon of gas, a gallon of diesel, to go buy a pound of hamburger, a pound of steak, a pound of fish. It's going to take more dollars. And of course, we're seeing more shrinkflation, where you're going to get less ounces of cereal in the box, less ounces of coffee in the container, less slices of bread. You're going to get less ounces of bacon in the package. It's all happening. It's been happening. And today, with what we just watched transpire, this is going to guarantee that it's going to take more dollars to buy food, to buy fuel, to buy anything. Reuters, so many Russians are buying gold that central bank halts bank purchases. I thought this was really interesting. Coming from Reuters, Russia's central bank announced that it will suspend purchase of gold from banks due to the overwhelming demand from households. When you see a currency collapse like Lebanon, like Venezuela, like Russia, people run to gold. And they always tell us that this barbarous relic, that nobody wants it. But it seems that when all hell is breaking loose, when currencies, fiat monopoly money is collapsing, people run to gold. And the people out there that say you can't eat gold, and look, I'm a firm believer that you should have food and water put away before you buy any gold or silver. But to the people out there that say you can't buy food, I throughout history, it has been well stated that people took gold and silver and bought food in depressions, in economic collapses, during world wars, you name it. People were able to take gold and silver and buy food. But I don't think that I would want to use my gold to buy food. I would be more inclined to be dependent on my own food and water. To me, the gold is to buy other assets when the dust settles. Because look, we're not going to be in an economic collapse forever. This one's going to be epic. It's going to be biblical, and it's probably going to be the longest one in our history. But I don't want to use gold to buy food and water. I want to use gold to buy land, to buy properties, to buy houses. When the dust settles and things calm down and we get to some type of monetary standard or policy, maybe we're going to see a gold-backed currency. Who knows? Maybe it could be the yuan. But at that point, gold is going to have massive purchasing power, in my opinion. And so don't rely on your gold and silver to survive, to buy food and water at the worst of times. Make sure you get that stuff right now, and make sure that you're protecting that gold and silver for when the sales come. You may want to buy 10 acres, 100 acres, a house, whatever the asset might be. Keep that gold and those silver ounces safe and secure for when the sales come. And the last article I want to go over today is from The Hedge. Russia fails to pay scheduled interest on dollar bonds by close of business in London. We could begin to see Russia default on its debts, and this is going to be a big problem around the world in the financial system. And this could just be the beginning. We also know that there's big problems right now in China with these development companies. We know that we've got India, China, Russia, and other countries all trying to do deals behind the scenes right now. And I'm hearing more and more, just watching some of the business channels today, talking about the yuan and what they're doing in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, a big player now, doing deals behind the scenes. And now China and Saudi Arabia cutting deals using yuan to buy billions. I think it was $56 billion of oil and from Saudi Arabia, and in return, China is going to be selling goods over into Saudi Arabia. So this now, it almost seems like a transition period where the dollar is going to have serious competition. And once another currency like the yuan, maybe it could be something else, but right now it looks like it's going to be the yuan. Once it begins to gain traction, watch what the world does and how quick the world will be to dumping dollars. And what does that mean for America? It means America's in very, very big trouble. It means that our standard of living could change in the blink of an eye. Be prepared for that. And that's why I believe it's so imperative to get rid of debt and to be holding real assets. We've seen this movie before, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as currencies begin to implode, people run to assets. And the assets that they run to typically are gold, silver. When they can't buy any more land and real estate, you can't put land and real estate in your pocket. You can put a gold coin in your pocket. You can put it in a safe place. Much easier to sell, much easier to be liquid than 100 acres or a house. So remember that. There's a lot of flexibility owning gold and silver, especially gold. Remember, central banks are stockpiling gold, and this is why I like gold the most of any asset on planet Earth right now. I think it's cheap, it's available, it's easy to store, easy to transport, etc. And we're watching central banks over the years stockpile it. And today, another example of what's happening in Russia. People of Russia, the households, they're trying to get a hold of gold. And guess what? Most of them can't afford it. So this is the wealthier people in Russia doing it. So if you have the means, if you can, get yourself a little bit of gold today. I think it's a great idea. I'm going to leave it there. So much happening. Absolutely disgusting watching what took place today. Markets are up. Everybody's complacent. Back to the euphoria. Back to buying the dip. This is going to end bad, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt about it. And when I see melt-ups like the one we saw yesterday, the melt-up today, this is a red flag, a warning to what is coming. We're going to pay the ultimate price for this criminality, this manipulation, this absolute assault on the American people, the assault on the U.S. dollar, the assault on people's wages and their standard of living. It's all going down, ladies and gentlemen. Be prepared.